In the past, vinyl records was the most common source of music. And people would listen to quite simple turntables without tricking with all that, mammoth bearings, material, or higher flow technology, things like that. So why do we need all this stuff today if we want to listen to vinyl records? We really need it because today vinyl is in deadly competition with digital source.
The British company dCS created a revolutionary technology for digital to analog audio conversion long ago and remains a leader in this field. Let's ask whether the British are moving forward or just resting on their laurels, exploiting an old good technology.
Definitely the ring DAC harkens back to the early days of dCS, so 30 some odd years ago when we pioneered this technology that was a completely novel way of being able to approach digital to analog conversion. And it was neither a ladder DAC, which was very typical of that time, or a chip DAC, as much as we see often today. This was an entirely different approach to doing digital analog conversion that essentially is able to identify and then decorrelate the errors that are so oftentimes the problems when listening to digital to audio or when listening to digital audio. Now, that technology over the course of 30 years now has been, yes, refined, improved, and the latest form of improvement comes in the way of Apex. Now, Apex, it was really kind of born out of COVID in a lot of ways. During the lockdown, our very talented engineers were essentially locked in a room, and they started to tinker and they started to figure out ways that they could improve the ring DAC, push the envelope further. And one of the things that they encountered, which is so often the story with dCS, is that the existing measuring equipment that the industry has to offer was not sufficiently high calibrated and accurate enough to be able to pick up on the details of precision that were necessary for us to be able to improve the ring DAC. It was already that good, already that exceptional, state of the art. So what do you do? Well, as an engineer, they were, in fact, actually created new bespoke measuring equipment such that they could measure down to the precision level necessary to improve upon what was already state of the art. So once they did that, then they were able to figure out and identify some areas where we could, in fact, actually improve the ring DAC. Some of those attributes include not only an entirely new layout of the board itself. The ring DAC is pretty large. When you look at it on a PCB board, it's a very large piece of analog device. And in improving upon that, we found that not only orienting the board in a different way would improve, but also on top of that, adding other things such as lowering the output impedance by improving the reference supply that provides power to the actual DAC itself. By doing that, we were able to lower the impedance output, which in turn makes it much less impervious to things like cables, other equipment, and so forth. We can guarantee the linearity much more so. There's a whole host of other things that it resulted in an all-new analog output stage, that completely new layout of the board itself. Really, when you look at the ring DAC itself, the only thing that is resembled or that shares in common with the former ring DAC board is the resistor array. Everything else is all new and reoriented. It results in more than 12 decibels increase in linearity, which is absolutely impressive considering what was already state of the art.
In the Apex.
Yeah, so Apex measures, in fact, actually 12 decibels, even more linear than its predecessor.
Can you really hear it? Because measuring one thing, but listening in different.
Absolutely. So in the process of actually doing this, so dCS, part of our craft in improving our product and our technology, it involves not only empirical measurements and data. It has to measure out first, right? But then we also have our whole panel of so to speak, golden ear listeners that we will evaluate subjective listening as well. So it has to pass not only muster in terms of empirical measurements, but also subjective listening tests as well. And then by so doing, it's this constant back and forth approach to improving the actual overall product. The result of that was several different iterations and and prototypes of improved boards. And the ultimate board that was found to be the most exceptional sounding and measuring is the one that is now found as the Apex.